Hi, good afternoon. Joe here at woollycottage.com in Cumbria. God knows what the weather's doing. It's always Brits ever talk about. When you lived in an area though that you never know what the weather's going to be like, and you're going to get all four seasons in one day. It's entertaining. Today I did notice the other week though when I was going through my videos, because I share them over to my website as a blog post, the links to them. Number nine's missing. So it's all right. Don't worry. I've got you covered. We're going to do spin from the fold. Hands up. Now, I've always said from the very beginning when I started these videos, I was showing you things that I know and things that I have no idea what I'm doing, because we're all learning. And with fibre crafts, there's always new things that you've never tried before, you've never even heard of before, or you've never had the opportunity to experience it before. And this is one of those things, spinning from the fold. Never done it, so I've just had a little try. It's not perfect, but it's my first time ever. And what it's for, why would I want to spin from the fold? Okay, so spinning from the fold helps you spin a fine fibre into a lofty woolen yarn, especially if it's a combed top like this, that you would generally get a worsted spin from. Honestly, you'll always end up slightly worsted, but spinning from a fold helps you spin some really fine fibres without having any problem, or merinos or anything like that. There are a few aspects that gets a little bit annoying and tedious when you're spinning it, but it's turned out really nice. I have got some very, very thin fine points which are definitely a 4-ply weight, and they were more consistent than they were anything else. I've got some loopy bits and everything else in there, but it was genuinely, I've just sat here, read my book, watched a couple of videos, I'm not telling you who, and got the gist of what it is that I should be doing, because this is brand new to me. So we're all learning together, and I hope that me explaining it will help you figure out what it is that is expected from you. So we wish us both good luck. But yeah, so what you want to do, you can spin any type of fibres. If you've got merino tops, or if you've got coloured fibres or anything like that, you can use that, or you can use stuff like this. This is baby alpaca. It's a comb top. Okay, it's not just the alpaca on its own. I was going to use some of my Appaloosa alpaca, but I haven't even carded it, so I didn't think there was any point in me doing that. So I've had a look through my fibres, and I've got things like this comb top. And what you want to do is you need the staple length of these fibres. So when you're preparing the fibre that you want to spin from the fold, you want to spin it, pull it at its staple length, so where it naturally pulls apart. And then you want to make sure that it's all flattened out and that there's no areas folded over. And then you want to put it over your dominant hand that you usually guide your roving with, and hold it with your middle finger against your index finger, and then hold it down with your left finger. Now, I have to say, I actually found this uncomfortable. It did hurt. It hurts my fingers when I'm pinching with my right hand drafting, and I did think maybe you're doing it in the wrong hand, because when I spin sometimes I can be more left-handed than right-handed in things that I do, though I am right-handed. But I'm going to carry on, I'm going to persevere. But I thought, well, I'll just show you a couple of fibres that have different types of lengths and what it is you're really looking for. So you want it to have enough length that it will sit on your hand, okay, comfortably, and fold it over, and you've got it pinched like that, and then you tease out a couple of the fibres on the edge, and then you join that onto your leader yarn, and then carry on spinning. So there's alpaca, that's just one idea. You might have it in your stash, you might have bought it on a special offer. You can also spin something like this. This is an Indio corn fibre, which is really, it's a plant-based fibre, and again, this one's probably got quite a decent length, and there's the staple length, and I'm just pulling it from the tip of it, and then I would make sure it's all flat, there's no folds in there, and again, flip that over my finger, pinch that into place, and you've got more or less even length on either side, and then you can spin that. What else have I got? I've got the NJO corn, I have got Surrey alpaca top. So I've got some Surrey alpaca top there, and if I just pull that out, there you go, that's a really nice staple length. So that's generally what you're looking for. with that baby alpaca, I'll look at usually about 2 inches. So if you've got a fibre that's really quite short staple length, say 1.5 to 2 inches, just go with that extra inch there, just so you've got a really nice healthy joint fold over on your fingers. Okay, so that's quite nice, that one. That's the alpaca. What else have I got? What else have I got in here? Oh, I've got some rose fibre. So rose fibre again, another plant-based fibre. I'm just going to grab it from the tip there and I'm going to pull it, and there we go, is the length for that, the staple length of that. And then I would literally just fold that over and you end up with both sides. That's probably the shortest staple length that I've got in this pack, in my little stash of bits and pieces. And again, just pull that. You could do it with silk, do all sorts of fibres as you're doing this. It's technically called the long draw fold, and it's a way of spinning a woolen wool, which you do as a long draw, but it's going to give you that slightly more lofty feel that you would get with a worsted wool. Okay, and I will be practicing this. I will practice for definite, because it's definitely a technique I want to do. If I could stop it hurting my hands and my fingers so much, that would be even better. So I'm just going to sit those to one side. I'm just going to go with working with this red merino, because I hardly ever use it, and it came in a Botany Bay bag. So if we go with the merino, I'm just going to hold it at the top, and I'm going to draft out a staple length. I'm going to do a couple of those. There we go. That's a little bit long, but that's fine. But you can see where the actual staple length of that fibre is, and it stops roughly about there. But that's what it wanted to throw out for me, so I'll use it. And I'll pull out one more just in case. There we go. See how short that is? But that's your staple length, and that's what you want to go with. And you want to make sure it's nice and flat, and then it'll fold over your finger with nice comfort and ease. And there we go. That's what I'm going to be working with. Okay, so I'll get you turned around and you can see where I'm at. So before I go any further, okay, when you're spinning like this, you want your wheel to go a little bit faster than you normally do. Now, I use this is my guide on my wheel that I use. This is my this is Morgana, and she is a Kromsky Prelude wheel. Okay, with the standard flyer on it, and it does have 1, 2, 3 ratios on it. Obviously, the smaller you go, the faster it is, and I will go more into about ratios later on down the line. It's not something that I really fret about or anything like that. I feel really comfortable spinning more on this gauge than I do on these two other ones. But you do want the speed. If you haven't got the option to be able to adjust your ratio speeds on your wheel, just means you've just got to tread that a little bit faster to get more twist into your yarn. Okay, if you're using an electric e-spinner, then all you want to do is turn up the speed on your dial a little bit faster than you feel more than your comfortable settings, and that'll be the speeds that you need, and you should get the exact type of tension that you're wanting in your twists when you're spinning from the fold. So there we go. So I'm ready, sorted. It's snug on my finger. I've got the tiniest little fingers, so it's never that easy. My hands are so small. Maybe this is why I don't feel comfortable spinning in the fold, but we'll give it a go, and at least that way I can say I've done it. So you want to use your middle finger and your thumb, fold it over your index finger on your most dominant hand, and just tease out some fluffy ends on there. I'm just going to pull them through my leader yarn and just let that go through, and then I'm going to spin anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, depends where you come from, and I'm just going to do a short draw for the time being and get that going and start pulling that out, and the fibres will start to loosen themselves off from the tip of your finger, and you end up with a very, very fine yarn. That's all I can say. And that's it. You just want to make sure that your thumb and your forefinger have your fibres clamped into place, and that you can have control. You want the air, you're clamping the air out as you're coming down the fibre, even though the fibres are actually up off your finger, they're actually getting air in them, but your finger's coming down with the twist and you're pushing out those air particles that are trapped in between the fibres. Okay, so you can do this with any type of fibre to get a very, very fine yarn. Things like bamboo, rose, pearl fibre, bio nylon, if you want to go down that route and spin that through. I mean, that spins naturally fine anyway, but if you've got commercially processed combed top fibres and you want that woolen look instead of the worsted style fibre spin that you get when you're spinning from commercial top rovings, then this is the ideal way to go about it. It takes a little while, but if you're only messing around and you just want to try something different and you've got like 100 grams of something, then this is definitely a good way to spin your fibre up. Some people like to spin like this all the time, especially if they've got their own alpacas and that sort of fibre, because it's very shiny, very fine fibre to spin with. Now I'm coming to the end, you can see my finger, but I've got this little clump down here, but I'm just going to keep on spinning. You've got this little triangle that comes up. I'm just going to keep spinning it off. If you've ended up with a big fat clump in the middle of your fingers and you've started off with too much fibre on your fold, and I'll show you in a prime example because this is what I figured out myself. So this one's got quite a lot of clump there. It's a bit longer than what's necessary for folding over my fingers, but I will do it this way, and there we go. Okay, so joining on a new piece, you could either A, tuft out your fibre and do what you'd normally do and let it just catch on with the fibres itself and wrap around and twist like that. I'm just getting the speed going up again, and then you just start going. Can you see that little triangle in there of fibre that's coming in off my finger? The air would be trapped in there if I didn't control this spin coming down. And because I've got it on my usual ratio, I'm spinning like, hold on a second, let me think. I'll just let go there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for a short draw, I'm spinning about five times in between each movement and motion of my hands going up to there and then coming down. You could come out and pinch and pull, pinch and pull, and keep doing that for as long as you want. I'll adjust the angle in a minute and I'll show you how I naturally want to spin. I'm not one for doing a short draw like this, but while when I was practicing doing this, that's what I felt more comfortable with doing. But now that I've done it once, I feel like I just want to keep coming backwards. And again, and again, and again. And I'm just pinching as I'm coming down to stop the twist from going down into that fibre there. So I'll go again, down, 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 and down. And I'm just going to keep on spinning this until I get to what will probably happen is I'll probably end up with a clump of fibre in a sec. Bet I don't this time, but we'll have a look. Down, down, down. The more you practice, the easier this gets. My fingers aren't hurting me half as much as what they were the first time when I spun off that little tiny sample skein. It genuinely doesn't feel natural to spin like this. It feels quite slightly awkward, and I do feel like I'm using the wrong hand. But it's getting there. I've got a thicker piece now. I want to get that back down to that fine thinness that I was doing. There we go. This type of fold would be good as well if you're new to spinning blended rovings, those rovings that have got silk fibres in them, or tencel and bamboo and that sort of thing. It's definitely a nice way to do that if you want to really show off and spread that fibre through a little bit further in the wool. There we go. Come back a bit. And you're literally just teasing the fibres from either side of your finger. See, I've got this triangle here. So it's the triangle that you're always looking for when you're spinning. Anyway, it's the triangle on the end of your comb top, or whether you're using a drop spindle or a spindle. And it feels a little bit like spinning a rolag, because you see that triangle quite defined when you're spinning from a rolag. So I'm just going to keep on spinning this off, and I can feel I've got a little clump of it in my hand, and this is the point I want to make. If you end up with a clump in your hand, you are definitely peeling off too large a section of your comb top. You want to try and keep it to the length of your staple, and maybe just a tiny bit more. So I'll measure it in a minute, and just for an ideal distance of staple length that you want to put to one side if you're prepping the roving, and just making everything sure that everything's all put, so you can just grab it at hand instead of stopping and tearing a piece off your roving, stopping. So if you tear it all to start with, then you end up with your prep already at the side of you in a little basket, because you've already done it in advance. So I'm just spinning off the last of this little top at the top of my hand, and I will show you now that I'm left with this little clump in my hand, and I can't fold it over my fingers because it's too small and thin. But I'll give it a go. But that just shows me that I ended up with far too much staple length in my hand folded over my fingers, whereas the first time that other size was definitely the most perfect size to spin it off without leaving any remains of fluff in the palm of my hand. So it ends up all a little bit matted. I'm not a massive fan of spinning merino at the best of times. I do prefer spinning blue-faced Leicester and a Shetland more to merino. I'm not a massive fan of merino, though I do love a good merino and soybean fibre blended. So this one was the better option. I'll just turn that around there. If I get that roving again, and then see if it'll give me a more nicer, there. That I would say is about perfect. That I would say is about 3 and a bit inches long. Put that over my finger, and fold it over. And there I have a nice little size. It's not too long to be not manageable, but it's just a nice short size that I can carry on with my spin and know that I'm not going to be left with remnants in my hand. So I'm just going to tease off some of the fluff, and I'm going to hold it against the yarn I was spinning and let that tease around as you would a normal join. There we go, and then we're off. Alternatively, that fluffy end there that's in my hand, can you just make that out? You could undo your fluff, hold it underneath your thumb there, and bring your fluff back over and trap it underneath the fibres, and then it would come up as you're drafting out the fluff at the same time, and they will all join in together regardless. So there are 2 ways that you can join it together. I prefer the first alternative, is less hassle, and that's how you always join your fibres together anyway when you're spinning normally. It just feels a lot more natural to do it like that. I'm just going to speed up my foot a bit, with a bit more speed going in than the treadle. Right, so you want to do a strength test, which I'll do in a second when we get to the end. So when you're spinning like this, and you want to make sure that you're putting in enough twists that it's going to be able to withstand any type of work even after it's been plied. Okay, so your strength test, which you do this with all your wheels anyway, to make sure that if it falls apart when you give it a bit of a tug, then you know you've definitely either not put enough, you're drafting too quickly, which means that the twist isn't going into the yarn regularly, or you need to just adjust your tension, your ratios on your wheel, or you just need to treadle maybe a step or two more than what you would do normally, just to make sure that there we go, no leftovers in my hand. Less is more, ladies and gents, less is more. So that's what I've done so far. I'm just going to pull out a piece. Now I'm just going to give it a bit of a tug. And there's no snap in that. It's not falling apart. So I've definitely given it enough spin twists in there. Then I'm going to do a twist back on myself. So what I'm going to do is grab my orifice hook that come with my wheel. And I'm just going to let that hang down there, and I will show you in a minute. I'm going to let it just spin around. It's bouncing off my leg now. Spin around, and that will show me what my yarn will look like. I'll just wrap that around my thumb so I don't lose it. There we go. Show me what my, see if I can put my hand behind it. There we go. It will show me what my yarn will look like afterwards, and it's lovely. It's got perfect balance on there. Orifice hooks are a brilliant way to do an S-test back on itself, or apply test. See what your fibre is going to look like once you've spun it, and then you know as you go along. Do that at the beginning of your spinning. Once you've got a yard or two spun up on your bobbin. Hold on a minute, my fibres got all tangled. Yeah, do that once you've got your fibre going on your wheel, and then you can test. You do your strength test and do your ply back test to make sure that you've got it going exactly how you want it to go, and then do it every so often as you're spinning along. Just a quick, takes a few minutes, snap test, grab your orifice hook, do a ply back test, and let it spin around, and then you'll be able to see if it's perfectly forming and you've got a nice little balance to it, and it's not crimping and twisting up on itself. So I'm just going to wrap this around my finger. How much I've got now? I've got a little bit. Wrap this on my finger and wrap it around my hand, and then I'm going to quickly ply it back into place. And then it's probably one of the shortest videos I've done in absolutely ages. So just top tips. Pull your fibre into its fibre lengths. If it's a fibre that's about 1.5 inches already, maybe pull it a little bit further off than its natural to about 2.5 to 3 inches in staple length. Okay, well, in length, not its staple length if it's a very short fibre. As you saw when we pulling that merino, it naturally has a length of about 3.5, maybe 4 inches at a push in its own natural staple length, and then that you won't be left with any wastage afterwards. So you drape it over your finger and thumb and your middle finger, the staple length of your fibre for guidance. Place your drive band on the faster gauge on the flyer, okay? Or if you're using an electric wheel, just turn up your speed on your wheel, and then a little bit higher than what you would normally do. That feels a little bit natural, and that will help you get a finer yarn. This should end up turning out to be a type of lace. Well, as a single, it's a lace weight yarn. I'm going the wrong way. I need to just turn my wheel around the other way. As a single, it's definitely a lace weight yarn. Okay, can you see how fine that is? It's definitely a lace weight yarn. So I'm hoping that when I ply this up now, and it starts to bloom out as I ply because the fibres are starting to relax, I should end up with a 2-ply to 4-ply dimension on my yarn, and it's spinning up absolutely lovely. I'm glad I did the first test just to make sure that my body knew what it was doing. Definitely feels like I'm doing it in the wrong hand. So you want to mess around with your ratios. If you've got a fast flyer, this wheel can get a fast flyer of mother of all, but I've only got a standard. If you've got a fast flyer which is designed in speed for doing lace weight yarns, then get that on there. If not, just have a tinker about with your ratio bands on the flyer, the one that I showed you at the beginning of the video. If you haven't got the option for that, you just want to tread a little bit faster, especially if it's a very old wheel. But they've generally got a faster ratio anyway for 1950s, 60s spinning wheels. You just want to draw out your fibres until you feel confident, and just stick it as short short draw spin, and just keep going like that until you've got the confidence that you feel like you could go back further. And you just follow it down. You're wanting to push the air out of the fibre as you're spinning it down, and because the effect you want to get is a type of woolen yarn, but it's going to have a little bit more fluffy, airy feeling to it. As usual, when you're spinning fibre from a combed top from a manufacturer, then you are going to be spinning off a worsted fibre generally anyway. So there we go. So just going through my key points for you, and this is nearly plied up, which I'm very, very impressed with it. So it's a great way to spin a long staple worsted prepared fibre with more loft than you would get with a traditional worsted forward draw, or even a backward woolen draft from the top. So there we go. So I'll just wrap this around my arm like a niddy noddy. Just pinch that in place. And for those little pieces of fibre that I've just spun up then, that's quite a lot of fibre that I'm getting off the wheel. So there we go. Oop. Take that off and tie that around. And these are 2 samples I will now keep and put in my YouTube video diary that I keep a note of, with all my notes of my lessons and the tutorials and the things that are spoken about. But I can't believe I completely forgot to do a video for day 9. It's me. I got my days all modelled up as usual. It was back in May. There was a lot going on back then, so I'll stick to that excuse. So there we go. A nice gentle balance in that yarn. I'm so used to spinning with this wheel, this Promsky Prelude. There's nothing I can say about it. It's a beautiful wheel to work on. Oh, especially for a traditional spin. So this was my first example. I'll just undo it. So this is what I did before I come on for my video. There we go. I wasn't happy with it. I didn't feel the fibre at all. I didn't enjoy it at all. Maybe talking to you guys made it feel a bit more relaxed. But there, look at that. Definitely a lot finer, more consistent in its spinning. And I've got a 4-ply, I've got a lace weight yarn. Oh my God. I've got literally, I honestly have. I don't even have a yarn gauge around with me. Where's the yarn gauge when you want one? I'm going to have to print one off from a 3D printer. So yeah, so look at that. In comparison to the one I did before I came on, my first ever attempt at spinning in a fold. Completely different, aren't they? Completely different. This has definitely got a lot more going for it. I'm very impressed with myself. Oh, well done you, Jo. Pat on the back there, love. So there we go. So spinning from the draw. I will do, when I get further down the line on different fibres and things like that, that I use to blend in my videos, I'll go into a bit more in depth about different type of plight fibres and things like that. And I will do some of them spun up in the fold so you can see what they look like. Oh, God, I am good, aren't I? See something, monkey see, monkey do, and she picks it up just like that. So there you go. For spin from the fold, generally a long draw fold, which is a mixture of a woolen to worsted style spinning, but you're getting a woolen wool from a prepared comb top that you would essentially get a worsted wool from if you just spin it naturally from the wool, from the roving. Okay, give it a go. Well, I mean, look at it. What harm can it do to have a couple of those just to give it a go and see what it looks like? Take off your first couple of handfuls, like 10-15 grams worth, and apply it up. You'll look at that and then go back and do it again and then see the difference. Honestly, if I can do it, you can do it. There we go. So anyway, I've got a couple of announcements I want to say while I'm here, because it's not a live chat this week, it's next week. If you go over to my website now, it's the month of July is the willycottage.com's official birthday. We have been around for about 7 years, but officially as a website and more internationally renowned. I sent out the email at the weekend But if you go onto the website now and put 3 items into your cart on any product on there, it could be 3D printed items, it could be any of my art bats, it could be the rovings, it could be the locks, it could be art yarn, spun yarn. I think I need to have a look through my stash to just verify whether I've got everything listed on the website. I found some last week and I don't think they were. My blend packs, my project bags. All I ask is that you do not use them if you use the buy three get one free at cart on the Christmas Advents stock, because I will reach out to you and say can't do that, and ask you for the rest of the money. Not that 100, it's not going to be the cheapest in cart anyway, but yes. So yep, you've got you want to use the phrase, and I'll put it in the description, 5 July, all in big letters and one word, 5 July. So for this week only, you get 3 items in your basket. When you get to cart, add 5 July and you'll get the cheapest item in that basket for free. Okay, and that's for everybody, whether you're overseas or in the UK, that discount code applies. All right. There won't be any bats listed next week. I'll be adding some other bits and pieces to the website, and there'll be another discount code next week because it is, and I'll be doing this every week for the next couple of weeks of July. Adding in some codes, some secret squirrels, 20% in there for some things. Another buy 2 get 1 free later on in the month. And if you go and catch me, set a date for the Saturday the 15th of July, where I usually do my live chat, which I'll announce again in the chat next week. So it'll be in about 2 weeks time. If you go over there and catch me, and any names that I see pop up, I will take in a note down and I will be adding you into a draw that I will announce the winner at the end of that live chat. And it'll be for a bat, a roving and a set of my hand-dyed locks that I will post out to whatever name's announced. Okay, and another winner name that will be taken out will be a £15 discount code to use on the website. So there we go. That's all my news for now. Batty Clubs for next month is coastal themes around the world. So if you want to go and order Batty Clubs or subscribe to the Batty Clubs for 6 months a year, 3 month rolling, or a single month, it's £21.50. That's postage included. Unfortunately, it's open to the UK only, but that's not to say that I can't arrange something if it's for overseas to America or whatever, that I'll build up your items for 3 months and send them all off in one go. It just makes it more cost effective, and the postage and everything else. I'll probably have to amend your postage a little bit, but if you want to do that, just give me a shout. Everyone knows that I'm really contactable. Answer more or less straight away if I'm not busy cooking dinner for Phil, because he's always hungry. But yeah, just give me a shout if you want to order one of those and I can sort that out for you. So I'm off. Take care of yourselves. See you on Saturday for a live chat over on my Instagram channel. Hope you really enjoyed this. I'm very, very pleased with myself. It actually turned out so much better than I thought it would. For definite, I'm dead pleased with myself. So go off and have a go at it. Honestly, I don't think you'll regret it. Take care of yourselves. If you can't, stay out of trouble. Don't get caught. See you later.